What's up guys? Welcome to Veldora-sensei. For today's video we will review the volume 11 chapter 1 of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Without further ado, let's proceed with the video. Peace was the best. It was a nice thing to have no issues. It was fantastic to be able to enjoy your leisure time. As a result, I went in search of Kurobi. Kurobi-kun. Are you available right now? Oh, Rimuru-sama, you arrived at a convenient moment. I've got something to say. Do you have anything to report to me? What happened? It has something to do with the weapon mechanism you requested a long back. It's finally finished. Kurobi exclaimed, pointing to the variety of swords in all shapes that were put out in front of me. Answer. Weapon, broadsword, unique grade classification. Oh, it's unique grade. This was also created by Kurobi, therefore it must be of high quality. But I doubted it was the main reason for Kurobi's smug grin. I looked over that broadsword a little closer. The little holes, 3 of them, to be exact, at the base of the blade, the size of a marble, were a distinctive feature. It felt a bit uncomfortable admitting this, but it was an exceedingly ordinary-looking unique grade weapon. It also didn't seem to have any particular engraving magic. Is it possible that this is the case? What exactly is this? Although receiving a unique grade is impressive, isn't it common for you to get such classification? Have you forgotten something? Yufu, this is an unbelievable thing. It appears to be an ordinary weapon with no magical properties at first view. Nonetheless, it possesses a remarkable quality. I couldn't find anything remarkable even with Wisdom King Raphael's Analyze and Assess. In front of me, Kurobi, who could not control his enthusiasm, drew out some type of bright ball. He then put it into a slot at random. You put the ball in the slot on the slotted sword like this. If you go ahead and do that. Report. Weapon, broadsword is now known as magic weapon, broadsword. Ah, I knew it. A common weapon has been transformed into a magical weapon. In other words, it meant that the dream I'd had for a long time had finally come true. Whoa. Is it completely finished? Yufu, as Rimuru-sama would expect, you've recognized that as well? That's correct. This weapon system is identical to what Rimuru-sama previously said. That's correct. That's something I've mentioned in the past. Hey, Kurobi. Kurobi-chan. Do you realize how magnificent you are? This is an incredible innovation. I was ecstatic as I yelled to Kurobi. Kurobi grinned gleefully and nodded enthusiastically. Yufu, I did it. Let's have a look at some of Kurobi's work now. These were some items that went against the grain. We'd make hardened weapons out of magisteel, which was a powerful conductor of mana. We also wanted to make an object that may be utilized as a core for casting magic. What would happen if we equipped a sword with spirit magic stones, for example? So, is it close to what Rimuru-sama had envisioned? As you can see, I was successful in creating these slotted weapons. Kajin-san also discovered a way to concentrate magicule concentration so that high-purity magic crystals could be created. Kajin appeared to be actively involved in the study. Kajin constructed the marbles while Kurobi worked on the weaponry. It was no surprise that they had been able to build something so magnificent since they had joined forces. We've given the magical stones that supply these abilities the name Spirit Core. They've also been dubbed Magic Marble. Vesta-san, who was having a break from work, joined us while Gabble-san was out catching wyverns. I heard the two were already working on the Spirit Magic Core's power core. They already had the technology to enchant mystical stones with the spirits of the earth, water, fire, and wind, Kurobi stated. Ramras had mentioned something about the Spirit Magic Core being used to guarantee that all of the spirits were triggered at the same moment. All he had to do was change the magic marble size and power output. They became spirit cores, which could be classed into 4 elements: earth, water, fire, or wind, according to the attributes of the magical force embedded in them. Can we refuel their batteries? I inquired. Yes, we can. We'll need to locate skilled mages to infuse our magic into it, though. It's not something an inexperienced person can manage. Ah, I see. Perhaps by allocating certain workshops to explicitly infuse magic for other individuals, we could generate some new employment. You're correct. Preparing as many magic marbles as possible seems like a smart idea to me. That way, we'll be able to start exchanging marbles. Yes, that was the situation. These magical marbles were supposed to be mixed in with the things dropped by the labyrinth creatures. With that stated, these marbles may become a new commodity in and of themselves. Kurobi, on the other hand, was far from done. However, we should proceed with caution. These magical marbles are still in the early stages of development, and their powers may alter depending on how they're combined. Combinations? What did he mean by that? Might it be that their attributes could change? I'd want you to have a look at this. On this blade, there are 3 unfilled slots. In other words, if you mix 2 magical marbles with 2 distinct spirits, you'd get some surprising results? You're correct. Kurobi confirmed with my hypothesis. The situation would then get more complicated. We'd have to do more testing to confirm these properties. Such groundbreaking technology should not be released without hesitation. Negative. It is possible to handle all of the information utilized in the labyrinth, all right, so what type of threats do you think you'll face? It depends on how many holes there are in relation to how many magic marbles are put. If there is only one spot, that is okay. When a wind spirit is placed close to a fire spirit, the total magic power increases. A water spirit coupled with a fire spirit, on the other hand, diminishes power. Nonetheless, combining 1 water spirit marble with 2 fire spirit marbles results in a significant increase in strength. We're talking about a spike 10 times more potent than the original, not a power increase by a factor of 3. There appeared to be a lot of potentially dangerous combinations. Magic marbles needed some trial and error. It would be a massive undertaking. I should follow Raphael-sensei's advice and do my investigation in the labyrinth. Is there a limit to how many slots a weapon can hold? Yes. We could only support 3 for the time being, no matter how hard we tried. Furthermore, the odds of successfully punching 3 holes were said to be 1 in 100. Only until Kurobi used all of his might and swung his entire body did the possibility of creating a 3-holed sword emerge. Kurobi's pupils were unable to create slotted weapons, which was understandable. Only 4 of his greatest students were able to create a slotted weapon. Even Kajin, by the way, was confined to a 2-holed sword. This demonstrates how tough it was to design these slotted weapons successfully. Right now, we can only make weapons with 3 holes. Despite this, they can emit the same power as a legendary grade weapon with the appropriate mix of magic marbles, Kurobi triumphantly stated. Magic swords were already exceedingly valuable and revered under regular conditions. Its worth was incalculable. These weapons might rival legendary grade weaponry, as Kurobi claimed. We decided to send the finished slotted weapons to the labyrinth first, after discussing the situation with him. We also planned to make a big number of one-time use magic marbles and disperse them throughout the treasure chests of the labyrinth. The proposal was immediately finished after more discussion with Kurobi, now that he had shown his approval. Despite the fact that the project will take a significant amount of magisteel, it might be viewed as a type of training for his followers. We'd be able to put these potentially combat-ready items to the test. I made these weapons the standard issue for centurions and higher-ranking officers. Their battle powers might be improved by taking into account their flaws and delivering the appropriate marble combination. Then I'll be relying on you. Understood. As a result, I entrusted the situation to Kurobi. By the way, Rimuru-sama, if you've come this far, you must have something in mind for me, right? The issue is my weapon, I said as I displayed my straight sword to Kurobi. Are there finally holes on your blade? No, that's not the case. If it was simply that, I wouldn't be shocked. I believe you've got a point, my sword wasn't bent nor shattered and was entirely familiar with my mana. The blade was as dark as the sky at midnight. However, if I infused mana into my sword today. Kurobi, startled, gazed open-mouthed. What? No, that's not the only color changing on the B-blade. It's a rainbow, of course. A rainbow glow emanates from the blade. It is indeed surprising, isn't it? I was a little concerned at first, which is why I chose to talk to you about it. One day, back in my chamber, I was staring at my sword when it began to change colors. Obviously, I was taken aback. The blade had a rainbow-like sheen to it. Despite the fact that gold was never employed in the forging process, it shone brighter than orichalcum. That is why I decided to look into the situation. This is the ultimate metal hierarcane. It was apparently a really amazing metal of higher grade than the orichalcum I polished. What the hell is going on here? I'm not even sure how to examine it. I believe it's called hierarcane? Hierarcane? Does something like that exist in the actual world? It's claimed to be a mythical level metal with unchangeable qualities. It was like something out of a fairy tale. Kurobe was no longer merely ecstatic. He couldn't say anything since he was mute. In the end, we realized that this blade would only respond to my mana. This sword only began to glow rainbow colors once I infused it with my mana and entered a state of fight. Only one thing was certain right now: this straight sword was worthy of being my weapon, and it had evolved to excel the sturdiness of any other blade on the planet. With this blade in my absolute defense, I could afford to be a little more daring at times. This sword is just extraordinary. Despite the fact that I was the one who created it, the state it is in now is beyond my wildest dreams. No, that's not true at all. Kurobe is incredible. I appreciate the compliment. I'm overjoyed to hear Rimuru-sama commend me like that. However, I am confident that this sword will defeat Hinata's saber. My sword was Kurobe's crowning achievement, therefore wouldn't it be legendary grade at the very least? Kurobe's response to my remark was surprising. Do you mean the legendary level Moonlight Saber? This should actually be stronger. Perhaps this blade is a precursor to Veldora-sama's of a mythical grade weapon. For a long time, we were both enthralled by the sword. That's a really amazing sword, indeed. It's an uncommon sight to see such lovely blade designs. The unchanging hierarcane shined brightly, bringing a lovely color to the heimin and showcasing Kurobe's masterful talents. While looking at the nearly art-like designs on the blade, we couldn't suppress our enthusiasm. I was ecstatic when I discovered this unexpected discovery. I heard a rush of frantic footsteps approaching me. The individual approaching the front door of my office had no intention of stopping and burst through it without even a courteous knock. I could tell that it was Milim. Rigard's iron fists would have met anybody else who had been so disrespectful. If it had been Veldora or Ramras, their sweets would have been taken away from them. Milim, on the other hand, was an exception, therefore we won't pursue the subject with her. Our Rimuru. It's starting to hatch, and it's going to hatch. It was because Milim had been clutching an egg all along. She had refused to return to her homeland, preferring to remain in our country. She was concerned that anything would happen to the egg and decided that keeping it close to me would be safer. Milim appeared to be in a state of fear. I deduced from her mood that the egg would most likely hatch shortly. Gaia, Milim's old buddy, dwelt in the egg, which was flickering on and off. It was only a matter of time until it happened. Gaia, a new monster, was on the verge of being created. Jaiui. A teeny tiny chibi dragon shattered its shell. It was around 50 centimeters long. Given its little stature, it was difficult to comprehend that this was once the Chaos Dragon. Are you Gaia? Jaiu. Hugs were exchanged between the small girl and the tiny dragon. It was incredibly touching to see the two of them together. Milim barged in just as Gaia was about to hatch. Milim was now at rest, knowing that her companion was safe. But, contrary to my expectations, this did not indicate that she was going home. Come on, let's go on an adventure with Gaia. Milim enthusiastically suggested. No, I was expecting her to say something along these lines. I mean, Free-san must be extremely concerned about you, right? I said naturally. Milim's protector had become Free-san. Milim would surely become enraged if I toyed with her without first informing her. It would have been a different tale if Gaia hadn't been born, but given how active and healthy she was, Milim felt compelled to do the task she had been putting off. Wahahaha, there's nothing to worry about. Is there something to be concerned about? Rimuru did provide Milim some sound advice. Despite this, his advice has gone entirely unheeded. Just joking, I mean, since Milim recommended it, I suppose I don't have a problem with it. I'd been preoccupied with the aftermath of Mariabelle's tragedy, and I'd only just begun to take a break. After all this time working, having some fun with my buddies wasn't a terrible idea. After all, it's a must. Dragons are apex predators who only consume the prey they have captured. Milim smugly continued, even infants are the same, therefore we need to teach Gaia how to hunt. I'd heard that dragons don't become hungry easily, but that they could live entirely on water and magicules. The disadvantage was that they were unable to develop. Appropriate training and monster hunting as a feed were vitally necessary if we wanted it to grow bigger and tougher. Milim wanted to go on an adventure with Gaia because of this. My first assumption was that she only wanted to get away from Free's grasp, but it turned out that she had given it a lot of consideration. All well, then I've got just a spot for you. Is it the labyrinth? That's right, as a result, we began our effort to care for Gaia. And that's it. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe. See you on my next video.